everybody. I am live. Hey, what's up? I'm Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast. Okay. And today I am here to talk to you about the dismantling of the Department of Education. Let me get a few things going here. Okay. Okay, yes. What's going on, America? What's going on? And I'm not going to even talk about the tariffs right now. I'm not going to talk about that stuff right now. But I'm going to come back next Friday and talk about the tariffs, okay? But today, I am talking about the dismantling of education. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast, where I talk about social and political issues. Sometimes I like to sit down, sometimes I'll stand up because I'm a public speaker anyway. And public speakers, we stand up, okay? Thank you. Shout out to Toastmasters. Thank you. I'm about to get my advanced, okay? The COVID knocked me out, but I'm about to get my advanced Toastmaster certificate. Thank you. Hello, Americans. Hello. Hello, Americans. I happen to be African American. Okay, that's the label that I chose. I'm not going to debate with nobody about that label, okay? Because there's enough history involved that I don't feel like I have to debate anybody on planet Earth about my nationality or my identity. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have to defend that anymore. Okay, that's done. Especially when I got my DNA test. I don't have to defend that. I don't have to defend my identification to nobody on earth. Thank you. Because when you want to start talking about that, I want my reparations for me and my family and my root tree. Thank you. So we can build our wealth here in America. Thank you. Okay. But right now, this is an important issue, and I'm bringing it to the world table. Okay? I'm bringing it to you to the world table. Should the American Congress dismantle the Department of Education? What are you going to do is my question to citizens, to voters. What are you going to do? It's enough to watch the actions of your government, but it's another for you as an individual to take action. You understand? All it will do is go back to the states. You see all this information, it says it's going to go back to the states. Okay, what about the states? What about the states? Everything about the Department of Education on a state level is governed by the federal department. So what about that? The problem that I see, and just keep running this back, just hit the replay button when I'm done, okay? What I see is you voters, aka parents, you have a problem. Many of you are not even educated. Many of you are not educated. Many of you don't have a higher education degree. Associates, bachelor's, master's, doctorate. I'm pending my doctorate. And I claim my doctorate because I'm right there. I have my master's, bachelor's. Nobody gave me handouts. I had to pay for that. It's private. The key that we must understand is education is private. Hey, Abby Delon, thank you for joining. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast. How you doing? I talk about social and political issues plaguing planet Earth. Okay. I'm highly degreed, and my experience is I've worked in local government for over 30 years. So I do be knowing what I be talking about, especially in the position that I worked in, homelessness. And that's another day and another time. I will talk about homelessness. Hey, Los Angeles County homeless, you need to sue your county because they have violated the McKinney Veto Act on you people stealing the homeless money from HUD. You know, some things that I'm not gonna you be crying about. Cuts are good. If it's a positive cut, it's a good cut. Cutting the DEI, yes, that's a good cut because I never got to benefit from the DEI. And I'm a foundational legacy African American. But anyway, I got all my degrees. You Americans out there who don't have your degrees, you need to make a decision today that you want a degree, because if you don't, maybe in the next 4 years there may not be federal Department of Education. It'll come down to the states, and there you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a serious problem. I want people to understand that if the federal American Congress government, and I say it all like that, if they dismantle education, this means that you have to understand that if they dismantle it, they're looking at the money, okay? They're looking at the money, okay? And I'm not doing it from my laptop. I'm not doing this live stream from my laptop, but it's scheduled under my laptop, but I just went ahead and went live on my mobile app so that I could stand up in front of my flag. Okay. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast, where I talk about social and political issues plaguing Earth. Okay. Some of you humans are terrible. Why now today? You ask the question, why now today are we dismantling American education system? Well, you have to look at the money. I have always, working for the government, I have always looked at the Department of Education as a red line on the budget. Okay, I know government budgets. Okay. It has always been a red line, and it should have always been at the state. But because, hello, Yabana Cecilia Mora Ventura. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry, I don't. I only speak American English. But you can play it back. You can get someone to interpret what I'm saying for you. Okay, and if you have a good Google translation app or a translation app specifically non-Google, and if it helps you, just put it up to me, on the mobile app while I'm talking, and then it should help you. Okay. All right. But I want you voters, you American voters, okay, I want you to understand, should the dismantling occur, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because you have to understand that education is private. Okay. Back in the early 19th century, back in the beginning of the 19th century, people took on the church. The church was the school. They didn't have no mass production schools, nowhere. That took time to get to where it is today. And then you have to understand, poor white America could not sustain itself, to educate itself. It needed its government to help them. And then when the slavery ended, they had to think about that, because there's history in education. Okay, so I'm giving you a little history about American education and how it got started. This is why I've always argued with my African American colleagues. Why can't African Americans build their own education system? They're well educated today, and they have the GDP, they have the money, they can create their own education system. But you see what they do. And I don't get mad. I just say, you know what? I am well educated, but I'm not going to teach in this other system. I would rather create my own education system and teach my own people. See, that way, like Dr. Umar Johnson, he's the first out the gate I have Rahidi Institute. I'm working on getting some funding for that because education is private. Gotta understand that. They're supposed to be charging you for sending your kids to high school, but you pay for lunch and you cry about paying for lunch. You parents, y'all have an issue. You have a financial issue on top of all of that. You make less than $20 an hour, and a good 80% of the American society makes less than the median income. Okay, that's why you have to get your subsidies. You want to pile up and blow up the public education system, which is public education, which is what it means is government run buildings. The government had to get involved in educating you broke citizens, you poor people. Okay, the government went broke. The government, you got to look at how they operate. What are they doing right now? They're interested in war, so all their money is going towards war. That's why the education line on the OPM budget is always red. You got to understand that. It's a red, education for the federal government is a red line item. Because you people, wake up people, you people don't make a lot of money. You people are not funding your kids' education. You're looking for someone else's money to fund your kids' education when you as a parent, you lay down on your back. Okay. You lay down on your back and you had these kids, right? So before you do that now, ladies, today, you got to double the money, double the fund, double the money. Because you should be paying for your kids' education. You should not get nothing for free. You should pay for it. You got to pay to go to college. If you want a bachelor's degree, it's going to cost you $25,000, $35,000, $45,000, $40,000. Do you have $40,000 to educate yourself? And then let's just think about this whole education thing when we go to educate ourselves, okay? You pick the school. Then your kids, you decide to pick a course. Then you act like you don't want to go to the course. You play with these courses. Waste money. If you ain't paying for it, you took out a loan. You wasting loan money. You don't take college serious. That's why I've always figured that college, you spend too much time in college. College should be like the Matrix. Let me plug you up. Let me plug you up. Takes 2 seconds to learn something. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Hit that call. You plugged in. Hey, I know how to fly a fucking helicopter in 2 seconds, and I ain't even have to go to helicopter school and get a certificate. I just know. Where that education system at? Now you're challenged, you see, with the dismantling. Now society, you're challenged. Ain't you challenged? Ain't you challenged? You're challenged with developing, that's what you have to see. You're challenged with developing your own education system for your kids. The federal government shouldn't really be in education. You should be responsible. That's a social issue. So yes, on the state level, and the states should not really be paying for your education because education is private. You people, you citizens, you underclass citizens, you social citizens, whatever you want to call yourself, you need to understand the truth about education. You must pay for it. How many of you right now are paying for your kids' education? You filled out the paperwork. You want the subsidy education. Stop wanting the subsidy education and get that education, the real education for your kids. I mean, you're going to have to pay for it. Private. Education is private. Why are people scared about the federal government dismantling education? Because you don't make enough money. That's why. And you want subsidies. You want to take advantage of your own government. And then you cry and play foul when they say, today, after 200 years, you would think you'd be building your own education system now. I didn't help you enough now. I didn't help you enough. I have helped you enough, says the government. But the only reason why this is occurring because they've given so much money to Israel. Ain't nobody no fool. Ain't nobody no fool. They don't have no more money. So now, conservatives, they are straight liars to me. Every time they want to cut. They want to cut, but they don't want to build. I've watched the Republican Party for 40 years. I'm 58. I've watched them over 40 years. Bush Gore said, if Bush gets in, we go into war. And what happened? Boom. Trump come back. I said, Trump come back, he gonna destroy America. Boom. What is wrong with these Republicans? They're not conservatives. They lie. Because I ask a conservative all the time, what the hell are you conserving? You eat 3 meals a day. You bathe 10 times a day. You wash your hair every day. You in the stove every day. You got to want. You got to have. Give me. Every State of the Union, that's what they say. America is greedy. You're greedy. You're mad right now, but I said I was going to talk about the tariffs debacle on another show. Because I'm really going to read into America. What is wrong with you people? This tariff mess. President Trump, I demand you penalize $1 trillion an hour for every American business that don't come back to America. What is this tariff stuff? Why do I have to pay somebody to bring my stuff to me? And let me warn you, trigger warning, I do cuss. So you might hear yada yada, you might hear me cussing. Because I just, you know what I'm saying? This is just who I am. And if you don't like it, you can flip up, you can move to another channel, you can go your way. Because I always go my way. When I don't like what I see, I don't report, I just go. I just flip up. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling, you found me. That's what I know. And I like that. I like that. But this is who I am. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast, where I talk about social and political issues plaguing us human beings on earth. And we got to do something. Why? What? You know what I don't like about President Trump? He's sitting up there doing this. This stuff. You break the chart out. He break the chart out. With the tariff stuff and the percentages and the 25 and the 55 percentages and these costs and this and that. Tell American businesses to get back to America. I will sanction you $1 trillion a day if you don't bring out. American businesses took 90% of industry and manufacturing out of America. There's no way I'm going to be paying you. There's no way I have to deal with tariffs when our American businesses took the heart of America out of America. No way. No way. Now, back to education. Now that we have to deal with shipping costs, tariffs, Americans pay over 40% in taxes anyway. I don't want to hear about no tariff taxes and stuff. You tell them American businesses they need to get their butts back to America. No, I'm tired of helping the poor folks of the international community off the back of us American taxpayers. No way. No way, President Trump. You better do. I'm American. You American businesses, y'all need to get back here or I am boycotting you. I'm not buying no American stuff. And I mean that. I'm not going to be paying all these high tariffs and taxes and all this stuff. I pay too much taxes anyway, and I'm not even represented. Not even represented. Okay? Now, you parents, you know, breeding and education. Breeding and education. 2 words. Breeding and education. Breeding and education. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. Because education, know this for a fact beyond the logical, reasonable doubt, education is private. I thank God within me that I did and I stuck to it, keeping myself educated, because when I was going to school, I heard people talking about education for the white folk. Education ain't for me. Education ain't there. Why you want to go to the white folk schools? All kind of stuff. But I stuck to it. I said it's either I'm going to have multiple babies, wind up with HIV, wind up on drugs, prostitution, okay? Or I can wind up being educated and having a good career life, loving myself, join the military. I'm a United States veteran. Yes, I joined the Army. Okay, can't you tell? So I was going to light somebody up for my country. Okay? I was going to light somebody up. All right. Okay, I'm a United States veteran. Now I'm delving into my political aspects of myself. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But no, this education system, I should have gotten a free education system. As an African American, I'm a foundational legacy African American. I did my DNA test. And I'm mad. I'm really mad. I'm really mad because as a child, as a young teen, as a young woman, I had white Americans in my face talking about, I can't stand to have 1% blackness in me. Well, when I did my DNA test, I got British, France, and Belgian blood in me. The top 3 slave drivers on planet Earth. 10%. I said, oh, wait. When they told me that, I was like, wait. You mean to tell me I actually got chattel slavery blood in me? You mean to tell me I'm not a Native American? What? I'm 40% Nigerian based? You mean to tell me the other 40% of my bloodstream is pure African? Igbo, Congo, Mali. What? Are you serious? Why ain't my education free? I had to pay for my education. My education should have been free. I'm a victim of chattel slavery. Okay. I'm a 20th generation on top of that because I've been doing my, tracing my roots like Alex Haley. Tracing my roots for real. 20th generation I've discovered. 20th generation from chattel slavery in America. Israel, I want my money. America had no right giving you not $1. It owes me. That's why I be telling us African Americans, go get your money from Ukraine, Taiwan, all these other fucking European countries, all these yada countries. Where is ours? Where is our justice? But you want me to be thinking about tariffs when I know why there's globalization exists in the first place. In globalization, Americans, I call for ending globalization right now. We should not have to be paying no tariffs. You see, it's a lot going on. And guess where all the books come from? The materials to make the books aren't even made in America. Hello. Now is the time to change. Yes, now is the time to change. And what I say is, you parents, you need to think about whether you should be breeding or not, because you have to educate that child. And in today's AI society, you're going to be paying about $60,000 the first year of the child. The first 5 years of the child, you're going to be paying over $60,000. See, you parents, y'all not doing the math. Okay? Because when I first heard the word dismantling the Department of Education, I thought about you parents. I thought about you parents. I thought about you parents and how you work. You don't make enough money. Every time you send your kid to school, you sending your kid to school to get a subsidy. You're looking for the schools that you're going to have to pay less for school supplies, school lunches, school breakfast, daycare, aftercare. You don't make enough money. And that is why this whole debacle of dismantling education should not happen, because you people are not ready yet. And that's just the truth. And the government knows this. I say the government is just it's just another level of how America is being dismantled. Because, in order to dismantle something, you have to dismantle it from within. So if the Department of Education ends that education line item budget, all they have to do is just take it out just like that. You know how you delete something out of a cell on Excel? I've done that. They just delete that line item. Oh, we did a budget amendment, and they're going to go through all these budgets. See, on a federal level, they're going to go through the courts, budget, court, back. They're going to flip-flop back and forth. The courts is going to try to stop the president to do what the president was made to do anyway. Okay, as a backup system, the courts is going to try to stop President Trump from dismantling the education. But look at what the states are doing. They're just watching. What do they have? What are they doing to make the changes? This is an issue that I have with state level. If you're going to say you're going to send something down to the state, well, the states have been sucking off the breast of the federal government. They don't get in education like that. In urban schools, all where the black kids are at, that's going to be a real problem. The trickle-down effect of dismantling Department of Education is really going to hurt African Americans. This is why I am ringing the alarm that you African Americans right here, right now, today, under the sound of my voice and every other voice out there that's talking on this subject of the federal American government dismantling education, you African Americans, now is the time, and I mean specifically African Americans, to decide to build your own private education system for yourself that works for you. You can build your own accreditation departments. Everything is private. So you have no excuses, African American society. And it'll be a shame other people coming here building up education systems on a private level and then don't even want you to come in the door. Because you're not building your own. You never build for yourself. Build for yourself, African Americans. And the one thing that you can do really well is so many. This is another thing that I don't understand. There's so many African Americans in the education system, in the education field. Teachers, education administrators. Now is the time for you to take your experience and your learning, your acumen, and build up African American school system, or build up a private system that attracts African Americans, like University of Phoenix and Capella University. Okay, these private institutions attract African Americans. University of Phoenix attracted me. I got all my degrees from them because I want to be educated, and I want to be educated now, fast. I don't want to be waiting 25 years to be educated. And that's another thing that must change. Flatlining how long the youth and teens and we as adults are educated. It should not take 16, 15, 25, 35 weeks to be educated. 6 weeks, 1 month. 1 month you can learn something. 6 months you can have a certificate. A year you can have a degree. Flatlining this education system is the best thing for us. So that's why I'm not complaining about dismantling education. I'm looking at as a strategist on how to help those get the education in the future and establish a new education system that doesn't have anything to do with government. You understand? You understand? Develop an education system that does not have anything to do with government. Then you working with something. Then you showing the universe, yes, I want to be on planet Earth. I think because we're not showing the universe that we want to be on this planet, it's going to get rid of us. You know what I'm saying? If you don't use it, you lose it. We are held back because of false ideologies about things, and then we cry when they want to take and snatch stuff away from us, right? They always want to cut us conservatives. I can appreciate one factor about Democrats. They do want to move forward. But, since Israel took over the Democratic Party, I left the Democratic Party. I don't want to have nothing to do with them. I'm not a Republican because I'm not conservative. I'm a progressive, and that's the party that I chose to be in. I'm a progressive party member. It is a thing, it just has to grow. Okay, but if I'm the one-man band show, then there it is. Because somebody has to stand up and think. And I am doing that. Education is private. We as American citizens, we have to take ownership of privately educating ourselves, stop asking for handouts, and build a system where you don't even need government. You don't need subsidy funding. Pay to go to school. It maybe reduce the cost of the course credit. Why are the courses so expensive? Things must change. Why should I have to take out how much is school? Associates $50,000, bachelor's $100,000, master's $200,000. Doctorate degree, $300,000. No. Back in the 1600s, they was passing out doctorate degrees with 15 papers. You could get a doctorate degree with just 15 papers. Your dissertation was 15 pages. Now it's 150 pages. What the fuck happened? Why so much? But now, because of dwindling resources, it's closing back in. They talk about the Big Bang Theory of the universe. It expanded, now it's contracting. No. This society is contracting. It tried to expand, but racism, I want people to understand it from me and how I see it as a foundational legacy African American. Racism is a real problem on planet Earth because it doesn't allow for progress. It'll play the false ideology game of conservatism, or I'm a democracy. No. We're all progressing to the grave. We manifest and unmanifest. That's cyclical. That's progress. And we're still moving, going. Nobody from the 17th century, from 1700 to 1799 is here, are they? Nobody from the 1800s to 1899 is here. Now, 1900 to 1999, yeah, they still here because I'm still here. I was born in 67. So the 1900s is still here. Yeah. The 1900 people, they still here. And they giving birth to the 20th century. Well, the 19th century, they make an error in saying it's the 21st century. It's not the 21st century because nobody from the 21st century has been born yet. Okay? See, I made it a point. I am tired of being lied to. Tired of being lied to. I'm tired of people in this society bamboozling people, with this whole tariff debacle. This whole tariff debacle is because 90% of American business is being done and conducted in the international market. Bring all that back to America. Why did you take the brains out of America? Racism. They want slave labor. Slave labor. So these foreign countries, where the American business is, they're getting cheap labor. They're getting slave labor. Okay? But strengthening these people at the same time, building up their communities. That is not American. It's not American. It's not American. But they're building up their communities. They're glowing up. They're glowing up, right? They're glowing up. They're glowing up. And now they can dictate to America, to Americans, how much they go ship. What? How much? What you want? All your shipping that's gonna cost you. Wait. Wait a minute. You know, they get the abacus and their calculators. How much? How much is it gonna cost to ship? 500 tires. 500 tons of exercise equipment made in China. 500 million computers made in China. Socks made in China. How much? How much? And what is the tax? You should see them in the government offices. I witnessed it myself. Okay. You know, I always got to throw a little comedy in my conversation because it is true. I've been there. I've seen them. I used to do this all the time. You know, I budgeted $40 million in contracts for the homeless, making sure these nonprofit organizations treated the homeless with dignity. And I told you one day I'm going to talk about that because I don't understand why the Secretary of HUD has not sanctioned any of these United States government, all the money. Let me tell you something. HUD do this. Here you go. They be throwing money at these states for the homeless. And the states rip off the homeless. I know this to be a fact. I'm a living witness. I went through the Los Angeles CES system, which I call it coordinated. It should be coordinated outreach first, then coordinated entry, you know, in that fashion, because I helped build up this Miami-Dade County's homeless system, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. But I went through Los Angeles County's coordinated entry system, CES system, and I told them to their faces, I almost was a SPA 5 representative. I applied to become a SPA 5 representative. Because I said, what y'all doing down here in Los Angeles County is violating HUD law. It's violating the McKinney Veto Act, and I am so surprised that Los Angeles County homeless are not suing you people. But they do this when the money drop. You know when the money ball drop? I gotta pay this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, That's what they do. Okay? And so when you think about education, they get the money from the taxes. Because where else do they get it from? Is Ukraine giving America any money? Tell me in the comment sections, what country is giving America any money right now? Tell me. What country? What country is giving America money? America is in crisis. We need money. We got a money issue. We got a money problem. That's why you seeing him coming in doing all these cuts. They have given so much money to Israel and all these other people. We don't have nothing. And so they cut. The Democrats wanted to save us. You got to understand that. They was wanting you to get with Kamala Harris. And people were like, Americans were like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Let's go with Trump. And Trump is cutting. You voted to be cut. You voted, you're not the first draft pick. You voted to get cut. And the first thing they cutting all this socialism stuff. And I said, okay, just cut it, and let's see what Americans do. Let's see how strong America is. America always talking about she's strong. America first. She's strong. America first. She's strong. America first. She's strong. Always talking about that. Always. But does she look like she first? Does America look like she first? Because I don't think America look like she first. If President Trump or any other president is not demanding American businesses its own brain center, if American president is not doing that, it's over. That's it. You're looking at it. It's over. All that stuff he had up there, and this is what, and yada yada yada. Wasn't Trump up there with that? Wasn't he up there with that thing like that? It's like, and this is what we got. I said, Lord Jesus, please get that demented man off the mic. Turn his mic off. He's not speaking what I want to hear. Please turn him off. Just turn him off. He didn't say one time, you American businesses need to come back to America. He did not. He did not. He did not. So if he didn't say that, when he got the Department of Education, what are you going to do? 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 You just going to watch? You could start saying, you know, well, I got to look at myself in terms of education. Am I educated? And if I'm not, I need to do what I need to do to get educated, because should I have kids, I have to help my kids. I need to be able to educate my kids. I'm not looking for government anymore to do anything. I'm not looking for no government to pay nobody to put my kid in a room. Then if they don't like how she look, she too black, her hair too nappy, got braids in her hair, she come in the room popping gum, she come in the room with a cell phone on, little Becky come in with a cell phone on. Don't do that to your kids. Allow your kids to be them kids. Homeschool your kids at home. Hire a private teacher. Okay? There's alternate ways to educate your kid. At the end of the day, you fear, they put the fear mongering in your mind. So now you walking around, terrorists, education, war, Israel, hell. Somebody, take that off and say, I'm going to do it myself. Social role valorization theory. Do it for yourself. Have your love for yourself, that you're strong enough to educate your kids. The women in the 1900s, they used to do that. They used to do that, and then somehow it got switched off. Let me go send my kid to somebody else who can think better than me. No way. Stop doing that. I wish I had that. I did not graduate from high school. I had a terrible upbringing. I had a terrible upbringing. My parents didn't give a damn about whether or not I was educated or not as a youth. That's my view. I didn't graduate from high school. I didn't get a high school diploma until I was in my late 20s. And from there, I took off and didn't stop. Education is important, but it's also private. I had to make that private decision. And you parents are going to have to make private decisions with all this dismantling looming over your head. And already, people are starting to see things, you know. The changes are coming, but it's not the changes to support. It's not the changes to help guide you in the right direction with educating your kids. Half of these people are being deported. It's so much toxicity right now going on. It's called disruption, not dismantling to me. But you parents, you have a lot to work on, especially these people's. Yeah, they have a lot to work on. Because if African Americans historically laid down a foundation of, I don't want to go to the white man education system, but ain't never built no education system for themselves, and they black, then they're gonna encounter more racism, more disenfranchisement, and you see how they out here acting today. So that's it. That's my time. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast, where I talk about social and political issues plaguing us human beings on planet Earth. Okay, we got to get it together. We got to take ownership. I call this taking accountability. Okay, for so long, generation after generation, you've been sucking off the federal government, and now the federal government is kicking you out the egg nest. Just look at it like that. We're getting kicked off the egg nest. Okay, so now I have to come up with new creative ideas and ways to educate myself. Look at all the areas where the government has taken, LBJ socialism programming. Okay, look at all those areas. Should the flat line happen, you as an American citizen, you can take care of yourself. Don't fall into the fear mongering. Is another thing. Americans, I've talked to so many people, and they really haven't a real fear sense in them. It's the social media that's doing it to your brain. You turn off the TV sometimes. Don't listen to the news. Me and my sisters, we talk about it all the time. We don't listen to the news. I read the news, but I don't listen to the news. It's two different things. Okay, I stay away from that stuff. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to it, but I will read certain articles, if the caption interests me. And then, I have an issue with some of these kind of, like, oh, they just want to, clickbait, pull you in, all that type of stuff. And even that's questionable what I read, okay, because I am an avid reader. I'm a good reader, okay, and I can read between the lines, and it's like, just stay out of the news. Focus. If you get the win word that they finna dismantle something, that's a code switch. I see it as a code switch. Also, you need to change what you're doing. Just change. Just be willing to change. Be willing to change and do something different. Should it be, should things come out like that, just be willing to change. You should put it in place so that when it finally comes to fruition, you're not even worried about it. Oh, okay, whatever, that's them. They want to do that. Okay, stop the fear. Stop the fear. I don't know. I don't know when they go to college. I don't know. Stop the fear. Stop fear. Don't let them fear monger you. Okay. I am Fulaniyira of the Mela podcast, and thank you for watching. I hope you liked my discussion on education. I hope it enlightened you. Please subscribe and keep coming back. I'll be back next Friday. The afternoon, same time, 12 o'clock. Hit them with the info at high noon, okay? All right, thank you for watching. Thank you. Peace.